Let's talk about how to turn your service into a product. Most service businesses have a scaling issue. You're capped at how much you can grow because you really don't have the bandwidth. Since you're selling a service, usually you're customizing what you're doing for most of your clients. And if things are custom, it's hard to scale custom things. You also have another issue of varying operational costs and procedures because of this customization. To turn a service business into a product, you have to figure out how to standardize your services, right? So you either can create a product or you can create a service as a product. Now, I'll jump into that a bit later. This allows for scalability, consistency, and easier marketing. Now, let's talk about two ways you can turn your services into a product. Way number one, look for a problem you can solve. Most people try to look for a big problem. It's better actually to go look at your customers and niche them down into customer segments. Try to find a similar problem among a small portion of your customers. Why am I saying similar? Similar or the exact same problem that they're trying to solve this issue, they're trying to transform in this way, they're trying to accomplish this type of thing. It can be a one-time thing or you can look for something which is even better that people repeatedly need. Key thing when you're doing this, it has to be a problem that people are willing to pay you to solve. So for example, let's say you're a law firm, you're an attorney, you're doing a lot of transactions for corporate clients. Maybe you have a subset which are new businesses or new business owners. And you're saying, okay, you can niche down and say, all right, they want to increase incorporation documents. Now, law, there's a lot of complexity. You really have to look at client piece by piece. Can you subsection that even smaller? Let's say it is for barbershops or people who are doing e-commerce. Can you be able to create a template document, a template article of incorporation, or if it's LLC operating agreement, right? A template document that they can utilize and you can sell that. So maybe now you're not charging your $300 to $1,000 an hour, but you're able to sell this, put this online and say, hey, this is an operating agreement for people who are opening up barbershops. Go download it for $50 and you can go utilize it, right? Still say, disclaimer, I advise you talk with an attorney, but this can allow you to start getting customers in the door that you wouldn't have access to before because they're under your price limit. And then as they grow, they can get the further benefit of now they're in your pipeline. So when they grow, hopefully they'll come back and work with you for more things. Once you do this, and why I said start so small with the operating agreement or articles of incorporation, right? Don't overbuild it. Make sure you can get it to the market, test it out, see if people want it, see if it's in demand, and go put it on the market. And hopefully it works for you, right? Overbuild it. Please don't overbuild it. Now, once you do that, you'll start seeing these iterations of this you can go across. Barbershops, small restaurants, e-commerce, fashion designers, etc. You can start seeing what is the next adjacent person to you or the next adjacent niche and replicate that. The good thing is you already have a template, so it shouldn't cost you that much more time and effort to build out the adjacent product or service. You can also go further down the timeline in terms of, okay, they need this now. What if next they need to know how to trademark? So giving them a checklist or giving them a procedure handbook in terms of, no, excuse me, how do I trademark my brand if I have a barbershop, right? And walking them through, this is how much they should expect to pay, etc. Right? So these are different ways you can productize your services. Now, the second way you can go, which can be harder or easier depending on this, the second way you can go is to look at the solutions you have and try to find a problem for them, right? Let's say you already built something out and you're saying, okay, same thing with let's say you're an attorney and your law firm, you're really good at getting people to respond after they've been ignoring people. Taking that, something that you do really well, that you think may apply to, and going and searching for businesses or people who have this type of problem. So it's going to take some brainstorming. Who may need this type of services? Is it people, are it small lending institutions? So people who loan out money and they're trying to get in touch with somebody and the person hasn't paid them for a while. Is it people who need child support and maybe they can't find this their previous significant other, right? And that person has so creating productizing that and saying, okay, we have this. But when you're doing it this way, you have to make sure you're limiting and you're not customizing your services. Saying, okay, we'll be able to find this person within 10, 15 days. You give us the person's name, you give us their last known address, and we'll go find them for you. This is the package. This is the price. This is the way that we'll work with you. The key thing when you're doing it this way, you have to really look through the process that you go through and make sure you standardize it, right? So create standard operating procedures and go step by step so that you're not having to go to too many different variations when you're doing this. Because once you go to too many different variations, then it's not really a product business anymore, or it's a customizable product where you're going to have the same issue as running a service business. So those are two major ways I would say you can turn your services into product businesses. I can dive into this a lot more. I know with service businesses, one of the great things about starting them, they usually have lower startup capital. However, they are limited sometimes by your capacity. So issues that come into line here is, do you have enough bandwidth to service people, right? Can you scale up? Can you continue finding people who can perform these services, or is it just all your time? So when you're able to create products, or you're able to create SOPs, now you can pass this along and you don't have to be the person seeing it and doing it. You may say, okay, wow, if I do that, I have slightly less profit margin. That's typically what happens when something's not custom. The profit margin shrinks, right? To some extent. There's an exception for luxury brands, right? The profit margin shrinks, right? However, what you're thinking about when you're thinking about selling at scale, as I said in one of the previous examples, right? Maybe you're selling those templates for $50, but now you're able to sell 1,000 templates. That's 50 grand, right? You're able to sell 10,000 templates, right? $500,000, right? You're able to sell 100,000 templates. That's 5 million, right? So this is how you want to think about it when you're doing things on the product side. You're thinking about scale, and it's beautiful if you're selling a digital product, which is less expensive you don't really have shipping costs, you don't really have manufacturing costs, etc. These are things to think about when you're turning your service into a product. My name is Achumba Atane. This is business and life advice with Atane Advisors. Please comment your service industry and the way you're going to try to productize it. And we look forward to responding to your comments. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. God bless.